For centuries, the Amazon forest remained untouched by the outside world. The Indians who lived here found everything they needed in the bounty of the forest, and the people had dominion over the land. The river, however, belonged to another. A strange-looking creature that breathes air, but lives underwater. A creature that captured the imagination of all who happened to encounter it. The legends of the pink dolphin began. They were called the people in the water, and it was said that they had magic, that they could come into villages disguised as men, and though they were rarely seen, they were thought to be the enchanted rulers of an unknowable world. Only 5 species of river dolphins exist anywhere in the world, and 2 of them are already endangered. This is the story of the Amazon River dolphins' struggle to survive in Colombia and Peru. With the 20th century came dramatic changes. Huge tracts of forest were cleared from the Amazon, leaving thousands of people without a place to live. The evicted Indians took to the riverside, where they assembled a floating city with wood from the forest. As the rainforest continued to shrink, more villages appeared on shore. And slowly, these riverbank communities began to pollute the Amazon. To get away from the crowded shores and unclean water, the dolphins moved upriver. And while the legends continued, dolphin sightings decreased even further. Over time, the pink river dolphin has become more of a myth than a reality. Now, when the dolphins are seen, they are often dead. Commercial fishing has exploded on the Amazon, and its toll on the pink dolphin has some conservationists worried. Roxanne Kramer, an American naturalist, originally came to Peru to study the river dolphins. Now, she finds herself protecting them.
When I came here 12 years ago, we didn't have this problem of the commercial fishermen. The local people and the villagers took what they needed from the river, and there was a natural balance here. Now, with the ice boxes that the commercial fishermen have, they can stay out 4 and 5 days. And what they do is they strew nets completely across the river, catching everything in it. Anything that's alive will be caught in those nets. Within the last 6 months, I picked up 3 full-grown dolphin bodies that had been caught in the nets and died. These animals are very special, very sensitive, and in certain tributaries, they're becoming extinct. We have a lot of dolphins in this area, but if we don't do something fast, they too will go into extinction.
Not everyone agrees on how critical the situation is, but if the dolphins' numbers are decreasing, then research is more crucial than ever. Right now, little is known about these mysterious mammals. Upriver in Colombia, biologist Fernando Trujillo has made it his job to find out everything he can about the species. With the help of the Whale and Dolphin Conservation Society, he's established a full-time dolphin research center on the Amazon. After 6 years of work, he can identify over 80 individual pink dolphins. The Pink River dolphin sees primarily through echolocation. It does have eyes, but in this fog of silt and pollution, they're all but useless. The dolphin sends out pulses and clicks that rebound off objects in the water. Essentially, it feels its way with sound. Many experts believe this to be the most sophisticated sonar found in nature. Until now, researchers never studied pink dolphins this closely. Correlating these sounds with behavior could help unravel some of the mystery surrounding this animal.
I came here because I was interested in dolphins. I'm fascinated by very intelligent animals, and so little is known about river dolphins. They can grow up to 9 feet and weigh 300 pounds. Their snouts are much longer than marine dolphins. One odd feature about them is that their vertebrae are free-floating. They're not fused together like most dolphins. This allows them to turn their heads without turning their bodies.
Most of what people know about these dolphins is from the legends that have been passed down from generation to generation. Like the carvings that have survived the centuries, the myths equate the dolphin with man. The legend of the dolphin's origin is still told in some places as a warning to village children. They say it was a small village that got out of control. A celebration was underway, and the people danced and drank with abandon. But the spirits were not pleased. When the sun came down on the third day, so did the rains. An enormous flood swept over the village, ravaging everything in sight. And just before the water filled their lungs, the people changed. Magically, they were turned into dolphins to live out the rest of their days in the water. Ironically, it's this glorification of the dolphins that often works against them. People want the powers they think dolphins possess, and often they'll go to great lengths to get it.
Unfortunately, in our work, we come across some dead animals. For example, we found this pink dolphin in Caballo Coche. It weighed over 250 pounds and was 9 feet long. There was another one there with its head and genitals cut off. It was a case of fetishism for the black magic trade.
It's hard to tell how widespread the black magic trade is here, but evidence of its popularity can be found at the local market. Here, you can buy just about any kind of food. Monkeys, giant forest snails, turtle eggs, turtles, but not a scrap of dolphin meat, because dolphins aren't considered edible. But that doesn't mean dolphins are not sold here. Most markets have a few stalls hidden neatly among the rest, stalls dedicated to the black magic trade. Sexual charms, magic potions, healing oils. They can all be bought, and they are all made from dolphin parts. No one is sure how many dolphins are actually killed for their body parts. But Roxanne is convinced that local people will protect the dolphins if they could only get to know them. And if you can't take the people to the dolphin, you take the dolphin to the people. With her hand-carved model, Roxanne tours the country, promoting the species as a unique national resource. She teaches an appreciation for dolphins at schools and places like this orphanage in Iquitos, Peru. Environmentalists can try to persuade the people living on the river to respect their dolphins, but they can do nothing to persuade nature. Last summer, it began to rain, and it didn't stop. For 3 months, the Amazon rose. With river traffic virtually paralyzed, food shipments ground to a halt, and the villagers along the river found themselves in the middle of a famine. But in times of crisis, people do what they have to survive. And conservationists here are beginning to see they still have a long way to go before animals are regarded as anything but commodities.
Ok, ofrécele el mono. ¿Cuánto estás pidiendo por el mono? Pero
We don't buy.
Nosotros no
We don't buy
ella no
animals.
compra mono.
No, we don't buy animals. So they don't want to create a market,
She wants to sell it.
but she has to know that's illegal.
Pero vender es ilegal.
And I understand that your family needs food because of the drought and flooding, but we cannot buy. We're not here to buy animals.
The flood has already devastated many of the riverside communities, and Fernando fears for the dolphins.
The way they're built, they can get into spaces other dolphins can't. And during floods, they swim up into the forest and get in between trees and roots to search for food.
But when the water recedes, the huge mammals can get trapped in the forest and die of starvation or exposure. Fernando spends a month searching the river for the dolphins he's come to know. He finds 10 of them, all dead. And sadly, someone else has found them first. The dolphins have already been mutilated for the magic trade. Surprisingly, even with the famine, no one has taken any dolphin meat for food. For the first time, Fernando realizes he's up against a force even more powerful than hunger. He drags the rotting carcasses past the village to show the children the toll the black magic trade takes. For many of them, these are the first dolphins they've ever seen. For Fernando, the future of the Pink River dolphin is even more important than any single species. The future of the river and everyone who depends on it is at stake.
There's a fascination, a magic around these creatures in this place. But also, the dolphin is an example, an illustration of the environmental problems here. I remember a saying of an old Indian chief who said, "If life in the water is dead, then the water is dead. And if the water is dead, then so are we."